Here we are again.
I'm so happy to see you this morning.
My pleasure to be here. We'll get some work done today.
We have to do, we got a lot of work done yesterday. We have to do more today? Okay, fine.
Wait, did you get the image I sent you with the quadrants?
Yes, I did, which was, where is it? Hold on. You named an episode Beer Goggles. I can't name an episode. I just can't do it. I added it.
It's clickbait, man. It's clickbait, sir. It's total clickbait. It's like, what the hell's Beer Goggles? Sounds funny. And it is funny. And it's totally informative.
Yeah, I renamed, what did I call it? I said, and Beer Goggles.
That's okay. I figured you were going to rename it. I'm like, this, you can't do it, but I'll have to give
Ternary line, pause, and Beer Goggles.
Because I figured out those fields in that. So we have the big diamond, right? And then it's like these little diamonds. They each represent different limits.
Wait, where's your, let me just pull it up.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me make Curt the host so we can all be on the same page here. There we go.
Sorry, I have to get my, where did you send it to me? You sent it by message, not by email.
Signal, yes.
Okay, so you sent, or I'll just take the one with basic symbols in it.
There's only four. It has numbers.
A whole bunch of them.
I know. Sorry. It's this one right here. This one right here.
Yeah. Okay, I got that one. All right. So let's do this. Believe it or not, competency is possible.
Right. It's in like across platforms, kids. This is no small operation.
Okay, so we're going to go and we're going to share that. Sorry, just one more second. A little slow here. Let's everybody realize I've been awake for 9 minutes. Okay, so
and you're doing great. No one would have guessed if you hadn't told us.
Got up at 6, started working like a hero, preparing for the day. Got through my cup of coffee, said, "This is going nowhere."
All right.
Anyway, so let me just let me open this in new tab. That's how we do it. That's how we get an image that isn't confusing. There we go. Okay, now we share our screen. We go to Dr. Brad, Google Chrome, and we share. I could have shared signal. How do you like that?
There you go. That's it. That's page 24 of my notebook, by the way, for future reference. Now,
okay, so you got to explain this, because this is like like one of those books you open up that somebody wrote in the 1400s to sell to women who were really into magic and
that's it. So the vertical axis represents the ethical axis, with the top being high, the optimum correspondence to the universe, and the bottom being evil, doing evil. Okay, the right is male and the left is female, and that is the axis of human performance in a standard that is how we behave, right?
Say that again.
The alpha male is on the right hand corner, and the perfect female is on the left hand corner.
Perfect. Yes.
Perfect. What I don't know what that means exactly.
I think I would say
ideal.
The extreme.
Yeah. Right. So each of these little diamonds represents a potential field of human cooperation between paired groups. Yes.
If I
it relates to that, amoral is in the center.
I don't know how to show both. So what you did is you took this diagram,
right?
and you simplified it to some symbols.
And so the basic symbols is this is the left-hand symbol is the female symbol for Venus, represents a garden state, which is, it's generally is socially run. The alpha males, most alpha male is just an amoral guy, and he's just getting along with the females, and the bad guys are thrown out. Bad people are thrown out. They're excommunicated. The next quadrant, number 2, is the ideal, like the ideal state of say the Roman, say we would call it Christendom back in 800 AD, where we're eliminating the bad, and that's all we're doing, which is the ideal state. The third diamond represents the state of, say, Rome, which they're not good and they're not bad, and they have slaves, right? Yeah, Eden is what I call that one. That's fair. Spartan, that didn't work. So close.
Well, it's just, hey, it's the first time I used the feature.
It's very exciting. The bottom one is Babylon, and the betas are in charge. That's all.
It's being too nice to Babylon.
Too nice to Babylon.
I don't know how to get a, how do I get a,
What's that?
well, I'm trying to figure out how to get a.
Kurt's
so-
gaining proficiency. Did you notice this? Look at that.
And this is a different tool than from yesterday.
Oh, it is. Very
This
good.
is the one that's part of, this is the annotate feature of Zoom.
Oh,
Okay, so what's this one?
that's Christendom.
My poor nose. You know what was funny? My mother, I learned the Chi-Rho symbol,
Yeah.
and I remember writing down Exian, like Christian. My
Yeah.
mother, you would have thought I had drawn a pentagram on the fucking floor and tried to summon the devil.
So she didn't like that, is what you're saying, right?
My mother was a proper Catholic girl, went to Catholic school,
Right?
married as a virgin. Jesus, what the hell they do?
That's a good answer.
I think this is even too kind. But anyway, okay.
Nope.
Is that what you want to do?
That's my says that's how I call them. Ruled by the betas in the lowest number 4. It's unethical and evil.
All right, I took a screenshot of that one.
All right. That's
All
what
right.
I said.
Now, yesterday, are you ready to say more? Do you want to do
No,
more?
I'm very prepared for you to carry on.
Yeah, I don't know how to get out of this.
Oh, that's funny too.
Let's see, can't. Hello. Save annotation, spotlight, eraser, format, redo, clear. How do I get out? I'm gonna close that. Is that how? Yes. How do you like that?
Ooh,
All right.
that worked.
Now you had.
That's
well,
interesting.
that
It
was
left the overlay.
That was unexpected. Where the hell did that come from? Okay,
Isn't it?
clearly I have to learn this.
This is the
Learn
display
this.
of working.
Now I'm worried. I don't know how to get rid of it.
Oh, look at this. Look at that. Clever
Yeah.
eraser feature.
All right. So we have the annotate feature here, right, in Zoom, and we also have the whiteboard feature, which allows us to draw, I guess. Annotate. I don't know, we can draw here too, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Look at that.
I don't know. I don't, I have to spend, look, I have this philosophy with this stuff, right? My philosophy with this stuff is, what's the minimum I need to know in order to get a video out the door?
There you go. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
But since most of what we have a lot of, we're getting to the point now where we really need to start drawing more diagrams, because, you know, we're past just the triangle.
Right.
Now, you can't see you can't see my cursor, right? You can't see my,
Yes, I can. I see it.
you see this arrow here?
I do. I see it buzzing around like a little fly.
Why is that?
I don't have an answer for these, Curt.
All right. All right, because I was trying to figure out how to do that yesterday. So we got this, and this is a, remember, we start out with the ternary logic, right? We start out with, somewhere I can draw here. I can do it this way. I can also, wait.
For it.
More. Where is, oh, I know where it is. Wait, chat participants. I don't know. I lost it. I don't want to annoy the audience too much. So I'll just do it this way. So, oh no, it's right there. Okay. So we started out with this and this.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we started out with. Right? And this is what we call the ternary logic. Right? This is plus. This is minus. And this is a stable relation. And this is null. Oops, I can't draw a straight line. This is null. Collapse. And so the height of this, right?
Right.
The height of that is the energy captured. Right? Are you following me?
Yes.
Otherwise,
I apologize. No, I'm writing it's episode 2043 in my index of my journal.
Okay, I just don't want to be.
You're doing good.
I don't want to be saying something that makes the.
Oh, it makes sense. I'm sorry. I'm just allowing the audience to follow as I listen and write.
Okay, so that's all we're starting, and all this is this is at the quantum level, right? The quantum background level. These are charges, right? And as these increase, right? As the negative charge increases, the sum of the negative charges and the sum of the positive increases, we capture more energy. Right?
Right.
This is,
Right.
Right. So we're trying to capture energy. Meanwhile, if we don't achieve a stable equilibrium, what happens is the universe collapses back to entropic state, right?
Right.
Right. So this is entropy. Right. And unfortunately,
that's hard to draw.
Well, it shouldn't be, because I can draw really nicely, but not with, I have to do it with the tip of my finger on a keypad. All right. Entropy and negative entropy, which is unfortunate, because what we would this means this is the negative and this is the positive.
It's messed up, isn't it?
All right. So this is collapse. This is energy accumulation. Well, this is evolutionary computation.
Yes.
Process, right? So what's going on here? So what we tried to do is we've taken this and we've said, okay, well, the whole universe works this way. The thing is that in this, in the primary, the dominant, I should say primary, I should say the dominant axis of evolutionary computation in life is sex. Why? Because it's the largest possible difference.
And it's reproduction.
Well, reproduction is persistence, but
Yeah,
it's not calculation. See,
I would say it is calculation.
hold on a second. That's
Yep.
two times. I can't do this because it looks like I'm in kindergarten. I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna
It's not
go
that
that
you
low.
can't, it's not that you can't do it. It's just you simply will not do
I
it.
just will not do it.
It reveals too much. Oh my.
So reproduction equals survival. Innovation
Right.
equals expansion. Right? Or in other words, the amount or increase in the amount of energy captured. This is just basic physics, right? I'm not saying anything particularly fascinating.
I know. Yep.
So survival. Now, the difference that you were trying to bring up just a moment ago is this is external,
Right.
right? So why is this font size so large?
I'm not-
Brad, why can't you help me with these things?
I'm so sorry.
I don't believe
I'm
you.
helpless.
I don't believe you. When Brad says he's sorry, he doesn't usually mean it.
He's lying. That's good. That worked.
All right. So that's external, and this is internal. God damn it.
I'm looking at the system. The cooperative behavior between in groups is a system that gains more energy by increasing its numbers and persisting and increasing its numbers.
Oh, fuck, I don't know. Excuse me, I cursed again.
Oh my.
All right, so the point I'm trying to make is that these are all, you're correct. This is calculation, right, by
Yeah.
survival and environment, but it's not adaptation.
The group adapted to the environment and survived it and is adapted.
It's just surviving. It's not innovating. It's not calculating novelty. Are you saying no? Well,
Oh, the
that's-
baby is novelty.
What?
The baby itself is novelty.
Right. And so well, I mean, if there's genetic opportunity there, so the baby is it. So the thing that happens is during reproduction, we can have the possibility of how do I say this? It takes reproduction by genetic computation, right? Which is only by mutation
That's right.
and by recombination,
That's right.
right? So I have no idea what's going on here. So apologies. All right. So I don't seem to be able to edit it once I put it down, which I don't really understand. I should be able to just go in there and then edit it. I can. Ah. Aha. Okay, we learned something here. All right, so in that sense, I was trying to make some freaking point there. The point I was trying to make is that set the distance available to mutation, right, is reproduction. That's great. But the distance available to sexual recombination is higher,
That's right.
right? It's sort of like the difference between addition and multiplication. It kind of is.
right.
The
That's right.
right?
That's right. Because most mutations are going to be erroneous.
Right. And then selection. I
Yep.
like this.
Yep.
Right. I got to find the team. I'll get there. I'll get there. Equals group change. I don't want to say internal. Right. And so the point here is that
Yep.
this is qualification. And I sort of think of this as squaring. Squaring.
That's quite interesting. That's interesting. Right.
So I just try, in other words, I try to always try everything back to geometry or mathematics because it's the dumbest fucking thing. So that's
with all mathematicians, I'm sure.
but so yeah, Michael and I are like, mathematicians should love us. Well, actually, the population should eventually love the mathematicians that reform once they've understood what we're saying. But I don't know how long that's going to freaking take.
That's it.
Reproduction, mutation, innovation, recombination, selection, qualification.
That's it. Selection is interesting because it's a volitional act.
Well, it can make use of prediction.
That's right. So it's so we're talking about increasing agency with that.
Yeah, it's increasing computation. Right. So if I draw my,
Those are methods for, it's because the first two are biological, exclusively biological, do not require any agency whatsoever.
right. And so if I go here and I say,
So
this,
selection trends toward political and increasing rates of calculation.
there you go. God, you're good.
Thank you, sir. God already knew it though.
Well,
God already knew he was good.
that's calculation.
I like it drawn in crayon too. That's the best.
The crow
That's the
crayon.
best.
Crayon, like let me draw it for you in crayon. Calling someone a crayon muncher. Those are my favorite insults. So I got to be really careful with this because I'm really getting myself in trouble here.
Wait, I gotta go back. I gotta go back to the big diagram here. This is awesome because it's like, here's how this works. Historically, what has occurred is the men started at amoral. Okay.
Correct.
And they were able to extend their agency toward alphadom with technical prowess.
Oh God, we got to capture that. I mean, when you say something, I don't want. I was gonna give you shit, but people would think I might be serious. Well, I'm gonna do it anyway. When you say something smart, I gotta make note of it.
Right then, make a note because that shit happens only so much.
This is hopeless.
Accidents happen. Oh Lord.
No, that's really interesting. I don't know what the hell's going on here. So there's a point here is that these are directional changes is what you want to.
The females never change.
I disagree. What do you think? Hypergamy and all this
Oh,
hyperconsumption and whatever.
that's just the females being allowed to do their worst.
Right, so causality is here.
Their group evolutionary strategy remains the same. It's what they're allowed to get away with in the social environment is that what changes. The men, however, technically have evolved, and it's like the apex males are also constrained by law. That's how come that the second quadrant evolved in Christendom to push their behavior outside of above the amoral line.
So why isn't it just supply and demand, right?
The demand is infinite.
Yeah, that's what I say.
It cannot be satisfied.
Correct.
But that's
And
the feminine. It's the baseline. It's like the ground.
Right, but the point again is that this is this, right?
Yeah.
This is energy capture. So there's a demand, a supply, and a capture, and the size of the upper triangle.
I understand. And it's like
Right.
my argument goes like this. It's more like on the left-hand female side is the ground, and a voltage is applied that is the male, and the size of the triangle created is related to the voltage added.
Yeah, it's the same argument, although I'm reducing it to charges and you're using
I know
electricity.
there's only a positive supply.
I
and
just
infinite
agree. I
demand.
disagree because in order to get females, we have to demonstrate supply, and they have an intrinsic demand, right? But their demand increases. So what you're saying is they don't have to do anything because it's intrinsic, and we have to do something because it's extrinsic. And so, right? But that they're still creating demand, right? Their existence creates demand, and our action creates supply.
It's the action of men creates a supply, and the women will utilize that supply.
Right.
At voltage. So they're not moving. That's my point.
Yeah, I want to capture this because it's intrinsic. Extrinsic.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. So the energy is being captured by the males. And supply
Energy is captured by the males and consumed by the females, children are in the middle here as the reproductive result, which then split either male or female.
Right.
Right. So the children are certainly amoral. If you ever,
they don't know any better. That's the tabula rosa.
All right. So that was pretty useful too, wasn't it?
I think so.
Let me see if I can get out of this again. This is way too hard to get in and out of. See if that works. No, it doesn't work.
Did something.
Well, the problem is that they're scale independent. It's an overlay, so it's scale independent. So I have to capture it. There might be a way to hold on a second. Save. How do I save? Annotate. Save. Saved as PNG. Show in Finder. Screenshot. Open with preview. I think it's only going to give me the top. Yep. So I'll have to go back and add this. There's too much stuff going on my screen now. I can't figure out what's going on.
Very busy.
All right. I can.
Good with that?
What?
I said, you good with that?
Open with Google Chrome. Ta-da. Can you see that?
No,
What do you see?
I see just a basic screen with a split screen showing you and me. Now I see something else. Now we're back to the diagram.
All right, so that's the picture we just drew on. So what we want to do is create, can you see my
Cursor, yes.
cursor? Why has it got the plus? Okay.
So it wants to click it, it will make it bigger.
Hold on, I gotta get, okay.
Hey, recompose yourself, sir.
So we have to start with, we've got most of this, right? This diagram.
Yep.
We have to start, and we have to bring we have this from this all the way to group evolutionary strategies. What we don't have is this part here, the middle,
Yes.
which is sex differences in evolutionary computation. So I think we need to add, I can't pull it up because the damn website's too slow right now,
Oh,
which is what I will either work on. I promise I will work on, because we've been doing so much work and now I have to go write it all out.
right.
So or was wait, had it. So when we started out, we have this diagram here, right? We have the sequence starting from I start with a quantum background and work way up. And then we have to add this in the middle.
Oh,
And then we can show that developing into, because realize these are instincts, right? But then we go into organizations, right? Right. We
Yeah.
go into from this, then we go into coercions, right? And then we go into organizations. And from organizations, we get elites. And from elites, we get institutions, right? And from institutions, we get group evolutionary strategies, right? And so we have to, this is the part that was sort of missing in the middle there. And because we didn't have a set of diagrams for it. So now we do. And this diagram, and I won't go and find
I want to discuss that. I want to go back to the one that we were just going over, the previous one from my notebook. Okay,
the one from your notebook.
Yeah, because I'm going to look at that number 4, the beta quadrant.
I gotta find it.
That's okay. You don't need to find it. Just look at the bottom quadrant, which
This
I call
one
the
here?
beta quadrant. Yes, which is this. The distinction here is the quadrant above it, the second quadrant, which I call Christendom, is the quadrant in which everybody is treated as a family member. The bottom quadrant, which is everybody's treated as the other, because it's an infiltration by the betas, who are acting as the elites for the organization of that quadrant of Babylon that I call Babylon. The quadrant on the right is,
Oh, I see.
the quadrant on the right is we're in a field that is that contains others that we have to defend against and to use force against. And the quadrant on the left is we don't have anything to worry about because anybody here is okay because it's the garden, man. But if you get cast out of the garden because you're bad enough, you're gonna be in trouble because you need us and we don't need you. That's Leninism. That's the Leninist people over there on the left-hand side. And that's what's being sold by the betas to the famed females. They think they're going to get the garden and they're just being outed by the betas.
That's right here, right?
Betas are in the bottom quadrant. The left-hand side, female
Correct.
side is the garden. The male side is Sparta and the top side is Christendom.
Correct.
Does it make sense? Because
Absolutely.
it's who's being othered. It's in-group, out-group distinction is what matters in each quadrant.
Well, I think I would. Can you see my?
Yes,
Can you see my? Right. Let's.
it's just
I'm
a
not
little
sure how
arrow
this
there.
one
Now,
works.
how'd you change it? Okay, what's that mean? Hanging out with Curt, man.
I don't fucking know what this is. I'm gonna do it this way.
Go back to the crayon, man, the crayon.
So this right here
All right,
versus this right here.
okay. What's that mean?
I think it might mean. Just like this means.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
That's a really bad M. I think that's what it means.
So this is the males, the female in that quadrant on the left, the female male, MF, FM.
Yeah. I think that's what the like I drew this here, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I think that's the same thing over here. In other words, there should be.
So that's an in-group on top. That the circle on the left upper is the in-group, treatment of in-group.
Is it the upper or is this in right here? Or is it on the left?
That's what I think is in-group treatment,
And this is out.
out-group treatment.
Yeah.
The relations to in-group, relations to out-group.
Yep. Shit. I have a trash mouth today.
Apparently so, but your mother's not complaining, sir. Not overtly.
My mom would sneak out the F word once in a while, which was
When things really got out of hand, huh?
she would use the S word and the F word, and they would just sneak out of this proper little tiny Catholic girl. And it's like when my wife Alora used to get mad. Sometimes it would make me laugh because it was like so adorably cute. Because it just didn't work. Like it's like the
incongruent.
It's like the little girl in the pink dress, the white and pink dress with pink fringe, with flowers in her hair, shaking her fists and stomping her feet and saying, right. And I'm sorry, it's just fucking adorable, right? It doesn't. I'm immune because the adorableness,
right,
is just too much. And my wife, and she gets so frustrated, like because they
that makes it worse.
It makes. And we're talking about one of the most rational women on earth, right? So, okay. So anyway, damn, Brad,
Yes, sir.
this is good.
Very good. I don't have anything to add momentarily. don't like it when you did that because I'm writing it in my notebook as we speak. And you just did something I can't do with paper and pen.
Yes, yes.
It's very
sorry.
disturbing to me. So the capture of energy is a social phenomenon.
Correct.
That once we achieve technical sufficiency, I mean, it's animals can't really, they can't compute, they can't calculate, and they can't capitalize.
Say that again. There was something there.
Animals cannot compute or calculate, and they cannot capitalize.
Correct. No, that doesn't do it. There must be some way to modify the font size. You did it again.
This makes a terrible podcast because it's visual.
Well, that's one of the reasons I avoid all this stuff, right? Demonstrated interest. I go into
Okay.
I know I can do it because I
I
did it.
take responsibility for being the
There we go. Demonstrated
malicious
interest.
influence that caused Curt to take advantage of technical opportunities that are not podcastable for the audience. Sorry.
I'm just trying to get this down here because we mentioned it yesterday. I want to see if I can get it down.
Right.
I'm trying to, what are the core concepts that we're, there's
Right.
there's this thing here, which is this and the grammar and the grammars. Right. Then there's the physical sciences.
Yes.
And there's the
Biological.
biological sciences. And this is the
Social sciences.
social sciences. Right. And
Which is fascinating because it's like it requires the social sciences are intuitively operated. They don't require they require agency, but they don't have to be self-aware.
no, yes, that's see, that's one of those damn depressing.
Another spark. Hell.
And then we have okay, so now I usually,
That's interesting right there.
the problem is how do you you need this
Right.
to talk about this,
That's right.
right? And so then there's a triangular relationship here between these.
The
So-
use of the language. It's the use of the language that makes a triangle. The law is the product of the truthful.
Law is the product,
Yes.
right? There's, oh, fucking A. I know. Because
Wait, you did it again.
Well-
Sorry, you cussed again.
Shit.
I'm happy. That was just speaking Hebrew right there. but sorry to interrupt your flow of thought, sir.
I try. So, we deal with every taboo under the sun,
Yes, sir.
right? Right. We sell every painful truth that we all try to avoid, and we're countering the dominant immoral narrative, and that's bad enough. And then I have to go curse during it.
In the process, it's a emotional release. Okay. So what were you going to do? But before I interrupted you by drawing,
I want to do to that list what we did to everything else. And and if I do it by the sciences, there are 4 sciences, right?
right,
They're the physical, the behavioral. The physical is the prior, the behavioral, the action, and the evolutionary, the result state.
right,
Before, change, result. It's the Markov chain, right? Right. The 4th science is what we call is the formal sciences, or what we call logic, but what I would just call the language, right? The way we describe the 3 ordinal sciences, the before, during, and after state. So we have a sort of what do you call it, tetrahedron?
yes,
And we have to talk about these things. And so I'm just trying to say, how do I, and the reason is, and I know we've sort of solved this, is that I started out wanting to teach it this way.
yes,
The grammars, right? Truth, reciprocity, whatever. And we decided we needed to teach it this way. Right.
right,
And then I think we've come to is we needed to teach the law and history.
yeah, yeah. I because it is before, during, after. Before,
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Before, during, after. How do
like it goes like this. The history is before. It's good.
I mean, temporally before?
Yes, literally before. What? How did we get here? Right? Before, during, and after story, like history about the law. And then the science comes after as the supporting work, substantial supporting work of the body of work that shows why this is the case in great detail. With a summary that's like this. The summary looks like a recap of the beginning, right?
Well, I mean, you said it. We talked about this a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the key topics we've got to get across,
Yes, sir.
right? And you could say what went wrong.
Right.
Now, what we've talked about, I originally started out with this and this, right? So I'm going to just put that up there.
Right.
Right. So that's.
Yeah.
Right. And this is physics.
Yeah.
This is biology. And this is
Sociology.
Sociology.
Yep.
And this is probably psychology.
It's yep.
And this is sociology. And this
Economics.
Economics. And
Political science.
Politics.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So help me. Where are you? I'm gonna have to shrink this to get it all in. Politics and strategies. Oh, you got more in there, right? You got organization, institutions.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, strategies. All right, so we have, right. So the outcome is what's the science of decidability?
Right. Well, that's funny too.
Well,
That is it. That all it comes down to, all of it, is decidability
correct.
in a great big OODA loop of life.
Yep. You can't.
So I think that's how you start the thing, is with the science of decidability. Describe it, what it is that follows in this great work. Okay.
Yeah, I that's the problem. How
That's the
I've always
problem.
had is how to. Hold on, don't jump ahead of me here because I think I know I think we talked about the answer to this. I'm just working through it so I can confirm it, right?
Right.
The problem is, how do you explain that and that if you don't know all this shit?
Here's what you do.
You tell them the plot and then you describe, you tell them
detail.
the ending, you tell them the ending, and then you narrate the story.
You tell them and make presumption that they're going to do the work necessary to understand what you just told them later.
Yep.
In the body that is included.
So we hit them right up front with what they really care about. That's all they care about, right?
It's like this. Life is OODA loops. And he who OODAs better ends up with better stuff. Right?
Evolution is an OODA loop. No, it's true. Right.
Well, but see, you can describe it in crayon terms in the first part, and then in great detail in the last part, which is a recap of the first part as a conclusion with the details on how to.
The fastest.
It's the girl. That's it. Oh.
All right.
But I think you just look at the science of decidability, what they're after, because everybody wants this decidability and to understand that, because it explains psychology, sociology, economics, politics, and law. It explains all of it. And everybody wants it to be right and wants to settle it and get justice out of it and understand how they fit in and how to decide what I'm going to do in the context of all of it.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's after.
Here we go. Here we go. Science of decidability. We have another one here, which is variation.
That's right.
Measure variation, measure variation, measure variation. Measure fuck. I did it again.
That was your mom. It wasn't me.
Damn it. Now I've run out of space, Brad.
Life is tough, man.
All right, so that's the piece I was sort of missing there, which is that
Right.
when
Right.
you say these things, it's a standard of weight and measure.
Yes.
It's not like you have to do these things. It's just that all variation from these things carries a
right.
cost.
That's right. And that, but what I like about this, if you tell the story from this science of decidability, tell them what they're getting and why they want it right up front. And then the details follow if they didn't catch it the first go, which they won't. And they'll be curious to get what they're going to get, because they'll see what they're going to get. If they dig in, they will understand why it works. It's bait.
I don't have it on this machine, but if I pulled up my 2016 draft, it's funny. In 2016, I was blown away,
Yes.
but in 2022, I'm blown away compared to 2016.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like my first draft back in 2006
Yes.
was pretty bad. My
It's
draft in 2009 was pretty good, really. 2014 was pretty damn good. 2016 was great, but this is wow.
Right. It's just streamlining the information so that it's understandable and acceptable.
Yeah. It's funny because the first I wrote the book on libertarianism first. In other words,
Okay.
I wrote most of this as a criticism of libertarianism,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've still got the whole fucking thing. I did it again. What is going on?
Oh my.
I feel some sense of relax or relief because of what we're doing.
Yes.
So it's
So it's disinhibiting you.
it's disinhibiting me. But when I look at this today, I mean, there's certain things I did that were really good, especially I learned this list making, what we call analytic philosophy. I learned from the Popperian method,
Yes.
which in my world is still far better than formal logic.
And what?
What's called the formal logics. Formal logic is an attempt to use symbols,
Yes,
as in mathematics, to express and test statements. The problem is it's reductive. There's nothing meaningful you can say with it, right? Whereas what Popper did is he basically did adversarial competition between lists, between sets, and he broke it, and he did it. He didn't get full to operationalism, but he got pretty far there. So if you look at my original work back in 9, 10, 12, 14, I was doing really good. I mean, I still use these freaking things, these lists all the time, right?
Yeah.
But the precision we've got since then. I mean, look at this thing, this graph we're looking at here. I mean, that's human behavior. It's exasperating. If we go and we add to it that, where is that one? Oh, now we've got the.
Oh, now you've done it. Your overlay is on top of it.
I know, but I'm not going to kill it yet. Like if we go to this, right?
Yes.
Sex difference. I mean, that list that could be 50 pages for Christ's sake.
Right.
I'm going to capture this before I want to be able to shrink it. I can't. There's no way to shrink. God damn it. Oh, that's not even right. Gotta get it down to there. You laughing at me again?
I'm just laughing. 'cause
I seem to
it's
provide
just-
you with.
It's like watching some
with-
crazy cartoon, man.
I seem to provide you with accidental entertainment a little too often.
It's all right.
And so if we bring up this, open with Google Chrome, we should get that. Nope, wrong one. Start again. All right,
So close.
try now.
Okay. Oh.
Today at 12:03, that's the one. Open with Google Chrome. Oh, yeah, okay, well, there was, well, the overlay is still there.
Yep, there's an overlay on top of it that captured it. Yes.
But we've got it, all right. So we have the. It's like we need Brad's commentary in the margin.
Right, right. So
It's like, you know, this, where's your, oh, I don't have your drawing anymore. I drew of your, I don't have your drawing anymore. I think I closed it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yep.
So we start out with the narrative. And then we go explain it all.
And then we end up at the narrative again in recap as a conclusion.
And then we say, yeah.
And I don't think you in the original part that describes what's coming and why we want to study it, you don't tell them the answer. You don't tell them the answer till they get to the end, which is in the last part, which contains the remedy.
I mean, what's the?
Because it's
how do I not tell them the evolution, you know, from piracy to democracy, that kind of
you do, you tell them that part.
Okay.
You don't
But
tell them, you don't tell them the remedy. You tell them how we got here and
Yes.
what's going wrong, and we have a problem here, Houston, and a solution needs to be found that allows us to account for the variability between groups that have divergent patterns of evolution. And you leave it hanging, and then you start explaining the science behind it all. And then you end up back to the science of decidability in conclusion, and how we account for the variability that is divergent between groups as we share this earth. And here's the solution to it.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I can state the OODA loop as the answer right up front, right? I can do that as part of the.
That's right. But it
And
doesn't,
the rest of it's just explaining.
the book is the show the architecture of reality. The body of it is to show the architecture of reality all the way through group strategies. And then you conclude with the science of decidability as applied to the law and the future to come. So you got before, during is operational reality of humanity in scientific terms. And then after is, and what is that? What do we do? How do we decide? And what are we going to do? And how can we do it in a civil manner? This is Curt processing and not custom.
I'm just going to capture this.
That was for the audience, so they knew what you were doing and not doing.
I just understand why I can't get back into. I'm going to get out of this, right? I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to go, where is the whiteboard? I don't understand what happened to the whiteboards option here on chat.
I see it at the bottom of the screen. On the, I have a, let's see. Okay. You cannot open the whiteboard. It tells me that you cannot open the whiteboard during a screen share.
I stopped sharing that.
Now you see it at the bottom.
And I open up the whiteboard.
There you go.
Oh, hell.
Oh, I can write on that whiteboard.
Yes, you can.
How about that?
We're collaborating.
How about that?
All right.
Now I can draw with a crayon too.
Yeah, well, only thing that bothers me about this whiteboard is I can't stick an image on top of it.
Mm.
I want to be able to paste the image. No. Eraser, color, undo, redo, pages. But I can't paste an image on it. Oh, well. There's just no happy medium, Brad.
Sorry, Curt.
All right, so we can unshare.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so sorry for the audience that we had to do a lot of
That was a lot of thinking.
thinking out loud there. All right, so a system of measurement, a system of decidability, the culmination of which is the law. In other words, there's the theory, not the theory, there's the logic, and then there's the law, which is the practice. Right? The science.
The refinement, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just applied, right? I mean, it's
That's right.
described and applied, and the law
Right.
is just the science of decidability applied. Now, what this means is that you can't, is that there's a possibility for the full accounting of costs now. In other words, transfers, voluntary transfers, and productivity. So that science of decidability, so you can't lie anymore about politics. What you can do is you can make a choice and a trade. So if in my society, I think they can't adjust to this, whatever, that fast, I'm going to decide that I'm going to do this less efficient law, right? But I'm not going to get.
Because it's a trade-off.
Because it's a trade-off, right? So if I want to have, so the best way to think about this is to not try to make states equal. In other words, governments, polities, states, and is to say, well, the Japanese are really fucking good at incremental improvement.
Yes.
And it's a culture of incremental improvement. They're
Right.
really good at it. They're likely always going to be good at it. We're really good at radical innovation, right?
That's
We're
right.
always going to be good at it. Now, I'm some culture with some country with, I don't know, 20 million people in it, or some number, more than 12, right? Now, do I want to try to compete for continuous improvement, or do I want to try to compete on radical innovation, or do I don't just focus on those people are already doing that crap? It's a division of labor. What I need to do is apply it best for my people. Because that works. You don't have, everybody doesn't have to. Everybody can't be number one. Everybody gets a prize.
Oh my.
Every culture, every government gets a prize.
Oh my, it's just something else. Like
What you can do
it's a
is you can
pretense.
divide the labor, and you'll get, I mean, you'll get what we get. I know the problem, of course, is that we still have three envious cultures, which are Russia, China, and the Middle East, or civilizations. And they are trying to retain the past because it's what's familiar to them, but they don't understand that that's regressive. It's just what they were good at. So they want to not compete by moral means because they can't compete by moral means, which is kind of stupid because China certainly could have. I mean, we would have been really happy with a China that grew up to be really powerful and said, yeah, we're going to help police this fucking system because it's out of hand. Instead, they said we have to be powerful, right? Because we don't want to lose this corruption, this network of corruption we built as a thing called the Communist Party, just like the Russian, whatever you want to call them, elites, which is basically it's a mafia. The Russian government's a mafia that's exploiting the people. They don't want to give it up.
This is a great segue for me. I want to thank you. You've set me up now because I'd like to talk about Western civilization has been conquered by people that are the betas.
Yes.
And I did the math of it yesterday because I was communicating with Brandon. And it was like this. The question came up is like this: has anybody quantified the magnitude of the theft? And it's like this. I don't believe anybody has, so I decided that I better get started on it. And I calculated it by the discrepancy between the rate of productivity growth and the stagnation of wages beginning the mid-1970s in the United States. And I calculated the discrepancy as being a theft of some $500 trillion, excuse me,
Yes.
$500 trillion. And I think that is discounting the time value of money, by the way.
Yes.
And it's like this. Okay, so $500 trillion has been reallocated away from the people who did the production.
Yes.
And it's like, I regard that as the magnitude of the theft in gross terms.
Right. So what the communists said is, well, we're just as smart. We can put labor in control. Well, that was a fucking stupid idea. What they could have said is, we're just going to use labor to conduct the votes to demand that rent seeking, right, is, in other words, profit without contribution to production is theft, right? And so which is all I've done here, is I've just made it so that not only is I just applied reciprocity, productive, fully informed. It's not productive and fully informed. It certainly
that's me being mad at my college again.
Yes.
Why am I mad at my college? Because they didn't teach me what a dollar was. For God's sake, how the hell am I supposed to engage in commerce? Because I don't understand the terms of the trade.
So both capitalism and communism were Jewish concepts. We went by rule of law and absence of rule of law. If you have rule of law, you will have moral commerce because you're suppressing irreciprocity.
Right.
If you have free trade and capitalism, you're not suppressing irreciprocity. You're only suppressing interpersonal irreciprocity, but you're licensing indirect irreciprocity, right? Rent seeking, corruption, privatization of commons, socialization.
Like special interests is what you're talking about.
Well, they're the ones who have the capacity to do it because it requires the government doesn't suppress irreciprocities.
Right,
so,
which is we're outside of the rule of law.
Right, and so the capitalism socialism dichotomy is just a lie, right? It's a beautiful distraction because the real answer, of course, is you either have rule of law or you don't.
Okay, so here we go. I'm back on my diamond again. Diamond number 2 is rule of law. Diamond number 4 is Babylon, is ruled by man. Outgrouping.
It's actually ruled by deceitful man. There's rule by seductive man on the female side, rule by forceful man,
wait,
and rule by evil man.
Seductive man is a female, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I meant. Man and the mankind.
I understand
Men
you.
versus man. Men and man are different. Man is a bigger subset of men. You're just having fun with me today.
It's the language. I just love it, man. Oh my. It is so it is.
So that's how we're going to tell the story. And now we know where this fits. And we sort of, now the next thing is we can now put all the lies on this chart.
Oh, see, I'm like this. It goes on. No, right. How about them apples, kids? It's like all the grammars fit on there. I'm pretty sure of it. On top of that.
And then what we're going to do is we take all the lies and we're going to overlay on the triangle, the political triangle.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I like this. It's just like, oh my, it's stunning work, stunning, stellar work.
Yeah.
And it boils down to two. It'd have to be like some fold. Like I think I see the format of this book as being large, okay, and with the glossy prints that come out like this big, right? You know what I'm talking about?
No,
It's a piece of art, my friend.
I went through this thought process, right?
Yes.
And I've actually, I don't like any of my intermediary products to escape, so to speak. So,
right.
But one of the really ideas, are you trying to make a pocketbook, a book that you can fit in your pocket, that you can reference? Or are you trying to make a monument?
Right, a grand tome.
A grand tome. And I always go back and forth. I'm like, well, why do I have to make this an either or proposition?
That's correct.
Right?
It's both and then some.
Because I agree with you. You know, you see the Lindisfarne Gospels. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a set of illustrated Gospels, right? And so it's the canonical example of an illustrated manuscript.
That's nice.
All right. And so if you go to school, it's this art school. If you teach art history, this is one of those things.
That's nice. Lindisfarne.
Lindisfarne.
Spell it, please.
Lindisfarne.
Got it. Sorry to interrupt your flow there.
Off the northeast coast of England, and it's I believe it's one of the first places that the Vikings.
Yeah, it's like that. It's got all the goodies. It's freaking magnet for those guys. It's like, look, guys who don't fight and have all the gold. What is going to attract the ruffians better? It's Babylon, right? Babylon is like too feminized. It's too feminized. It's like it needs more alpha, and the alphas will show up.
But see, there's the argument that in trifunctionalism, the feminine non-aggressive is best systematized through that means.
It's a great in-group system, but unfortunately, you have to account for the out-groups.
Well, I mean, I agree. What my point was that Orthodoxy remained a national church, and the Catholic Church tried to become an imperial church.
Okay.
And so the problem was that the competition between these two things is by trying to be an imperial church.
Mm-hmm.
The Catholics tried to create a natural law.
Right.
And the Orthodoxy just stayed purely Christian. And so I'm always in this question of how come we couldn't get both? Because what happened is the Orthodox didn't produce all this this attempt to reconcile Greek reason, right, modern science with Christian dogma.
They failed so because they didn't integrate the encyclopedist style of the Romans.
Right, and so, but what you did get is you got a faith that remains separate from the state. It's more
Correct. It's
pure.
independent. It's independent and pure.
Right. It's more pure. And so it's one of the things I learned over there is that they don't really confuse the two like we do, because the Catholic Church, it's a matter of church. Church is about you and your family and society, and government is about the military and the state and law. And these two things just they're
very difficult to mix together, aren't they?
They don't mix together. And the Catholic Church, of course, tried to, because the Byzantines did it. The Byzantines did it, and they went all the way over. And then
all the way over to what?
They basically made it a theocracy.
Yes.
Now, the theocracy was possible because they're in the choice spot. They're basically on the troll bridge between, you did notice I said troll, not toll bridge.
I did catch that. I like that, by the way.
Troll bridge between Europe and Asia.
That's it. They're running they're running an operation.
And so they've got this incredibly privileged thing, but I mean, they collapsed really fast. I mean, they lasted a long time, but if you look at the rate, the size of the collapse of the Roman Empire, I mean, it's collapsed gradually, relatively quickly. So I was trying to make a point there. So the difficulty with this is that when I look at Christianity, if you just took Jesus's advice as the word, what he was doing was saying, here's how us weak people live with the aristocracy. Right? We love each other, right? He gave us what the aristocracy didn't have, because the aristocracy treated the common people like farm animals. They were work.
Oh, they had no capacity to identify and organize in any fashion.
No, and so
they were literally animals.
They were literally animals, and Christianity provide a way for you to have the Aryan equivalent of virtue by not doing wrong instead of by heroic achievement. It was if you look at that, it's fucking genius. So my problem is always the church, right? My problem is the church.
What's your problem with is the church? Tell me about that. That's quite interesting.
It's because if Christianity was taught as it originally was by basically itinerant preachers, guys who walked around and talked the word of God, right?
Yes.
And all they had, they didn't have the Bible. They just had Mark.
Their words.
Right. They had, right. Let's even say they either had Mark or they had the Jefferson Bible, right? And they walked around, and these guys, all they did was say, everything came out to, what would Jesus do?
In this circumstance, right?
Right. So all they did is talk about the stories of Jesus' life. And then all they did was say, here's a problem we encounter today. What would Jesus do? And then that would be or they would say, in general, as a child, as a mother, as a father, as a citizen, as a soldier, what would Jesus do? If they just did that, it would have been the best. It would have been, because look how Buddhism is organized, right? It's organized really compatibly with the state. The difference is that Buddhism is an insular.
Yes.
Right. And Christianity is an externalization. You must do acts of charity. You must perform charity.
Right. It's performative. So it's an external external function.
Well, it's an operation.
Okay. So what's the problem with the church?
The problem with the church is it's really just an alternative form of government.
Yes.
Right. And the problem is the net result of anywhere where religion becomes the form of government is that it stagnates, because that's what happens? Because it's not about innovation. It's not about adversarial.
No, it's looking back.
Because look, what are all religions teaching? They're teaching the theory of non-aggression non-aggression, non-retaliation. And they're giving you mindfulness in exchange for disciplining you into non-aggression, non-retaliation. That's what religions do. That's how you get the mindfulness. That's how you don't have guilt. That's how you don't have fear and anxiety, is because you know you've done no harm, right? You've created no debts, or right.
Right.
And so that theory, that religion works. Now the problem is that's the scientific statement of what you're trying to achieve with a person. Mindfulness,
Right.
by non-aggression, non-retaliation, limiting you to cooperation. Right? That's what it's supposed to happen. Right? The problem is, what is the church trying to do? They're trying to run like a government.
Yes.
They're not trying to run like an educational institution, like the Greek philosophy schools. That was an education. When I think of the way, a kind of education I got in the Catholic Church, it was an education. But the minute it becomes political, it needs power or decidability. The minute it has assets,
So it has property.
then it becomes a problem. And so that's what happened everywhere. Now, and then worse, the Byzantines said, this Christianity thing, this allows us to rule people really effectively. So we're going to convert it from a religion into law. And that's what Nicaea did, right? They made it law. Well, that law works. That law was a Roman law. It doesn't work for desert people, especially Arabs.
Okay.
And so they created a law that was intolerant, that wasn't open. In other words, they created a via positiva law out of a via negativa religion.
Yes.
Right. And so that's what caused. And so does that make sense? And so now they created stagnation.
I want you to know, it makes sense, but it's like, to understand that statement, it took a year, maybe. I don't know. It didn't really take a year, but it's like, it sounds like a simple statement, and it is, but it's like, it's not easy to understand it. It's like, okay, sorry for that diversion. They did. It's via positiva.
I'm going to have to go into therapy for the rest of my life to get over the pain of doing this work.
This is the therapy, brother.
Is that what it is?
That's all it is. Finish the work and you'll be quite relieved, sir.
Anyway. I was just thinking, if you're in the church, you have this self-reinforcing, socially constructed framework with which to do your work in. Yes. If you're in the academy, you have the socially constructed, economically compensatory framework with you to do your work. But if you're out here
in the woods,
and it's just, there's nothing, there's no help at all.
Wilderness, man.
It's quite hard. Anyway, you get, so I think about certain people, like I think about Hume in particular, because he was extremely smart, extremely productive, and he worked somewhat like I have, which is kind of on your own.
Right.
And then I think about Smith, who has a personality that's way more autistic than mine. I mean, the guy's
right.
Kant is like sociable. Smith is not. Kant is your autist, right? To the raised to some power of 10, right? I mean, some unnatural power of 10. Smith is an autist, and he understands the theory of moral sentiments and whatever, which is really great work. But as a person, he was very. So the problem is working like that without the structure around you.
It's hard.
It's hard. Now Kant had the structure. Hume had wealth. I can't remember how Smith funded himself. Most of these people have some income that allows them to do this stuff. You look at Darwin, who's, I guess I'm related to. So, he goes out and he's just doing his shit and trying to work on stuff. And all of a sudden he's like, oh no, that's the fucking answer, isn't it? And he doesn't like the answer.
Sounds familiar, does it? It's like,
I was like, yeah, I feel like it just, no, it's not, it's the answer to the problem, but the truth is not an answer you want to hear. Anyway, so yeah, it took you a year. Yeah, it's one of those things. So the church, my problem is with the church on this, the separate thing is that the education provided by the church is different from the governance provided by the church. And if I look at Catholic education, it's really good. I mean, it's basically natural law taught with church dogma as in an anthropomorphic method. And so when I look at Catholic education, I'm like, Jesus, those Jesuits, they were dicks, but they were right. Right. I mean, it's the same thing with, I want to go back and say, I'm not too fond of Augustine and Aquinas, right? Because they did this work, but I'm like, yeah, but they did the work, right? And they ended up getting there. And the only problem is there was no guys like us in 1850 who could carry it across the road when Darwin came around. There was just nobody there. And then so we got Marx instead.
What is interesting is like that. So there's a failure point there, and this is interesting. The failure point is the church did not integrate Darwin. They
Correct.
rejected Darwin.
Yep.
And that was the error.
Yes.
Failure to understand and integrate it into the natural law.
And there was no reason not to. I mean, there's no right.
That's a very interesting function. It's like they didn't have to. They chose not to.
Yes.
Is how it went.
Well,
so they set their canon against Darwin.
Right. When and it was suicide, because the academy took over. Oops. And then the academy became amoral and credentialist instead of moral and a synthesis. And so the problem is Marxism, we opened the door, the church by failing opened the door to Marxism. And our aristocracy kept it in place because British aristocracy has this, we need to prove we're better rulers by being more moral. Not exactly true of the German Junkers, by the way, which is why there's so many Germans in America. And so but the British aristocracy, they had this, I got to show I'm holier than thou, which is a unification of the law and Christianity. And so, you just see this, we just opened the door to this pseudoscience by not integrating the science. All you had to say is, damn, it turns out that God's mysterious ways are pretty fascinating.
Yes.
Okay.
Oops.
I mean,
but it's interesting because it goes to this principle, which is that the church was stressed by it. And so they doubled down.
Yeah.
And it's easier to double down than to embrace and create.
Yeah. And also, it was a time of great change.
Yeah, unimaginable. Like it's hard. It's like we can imagine it, I suppose, because it's like the change that has overcome us since the digital revolution.
Yeah, but the difference is it isn't about the change is phenomenal, but it isn't material, right? Whereas
it's like you're doing different things now, and you have a different place to live, and you're moving, and that was
right. But it's not like I went from starving to not, right? That's a big difference, right? So
state change by industrialization.
Yeah, it was just too much. And the second thing is we'd had all these wars of religion, which weren't over religion. They were
political.
They were political, right?
Justified by religion.
And then, I started out as being really as a Catholic, and then I went sort of to, because my mother's side is Catholic, my father's is Protestant, so I became more on the, we call the United Church, which is basically the unification of the Protestant churches in New England.
Right.
which is the New England church. And so I sort of started going that direction. The problem is all that ceremony and education in Christianity and Catholicism actually turns out to be really important. And then all this live as Jesus, did at the expense of Protestant evangelism, which disregards all that scholarly work. That really bothered me. And so I come back to it. God, I just get so frustrated that you look at our Supreme Court and it's the goddamn Catholics who are saving it. Why? Because they get it.
You did it again.
Huh?
You did it again. Your mom just kicked me in the shin.
Oh, okay.
And I appreciate it. I just have
You
to
could make
report.
my mom. I would just bring up Trump just to get her going because she just. My dad was a lot like Trump. So I kept telling her I was going to buy, whenever I want to get it going, I was going to buy her. I'm going to buy you a pillowcase with Donald Trump's face on it, so you can sleep. You can sleep with your lover. She would get so wound up, it was hysterical. Or they make these full-size posters written up.
Right.
Things. I'm like, I'm going to get one of those and I'm going to glue it to the inside of your closet door. So every time you walk into that little private room, you can fantasize about your lover. Right?
Oh my.
How to keep a little old lady who's slowly dying of terrible cancers
Oh my.
laughing as much as possible. It was
Right. That's nice, man.
laughing, or at
So
least
the-
distracted.
That's right.
It was really horrible for me to take care of her. Really, I mean, the
I
harm
can
it
only
caused
imagine.
me to my life was just
It's
absolutely unbelievable. But I don't regret it.
that's right. That's right.
I don't regret it.
It's at the expense.
And anyway, all right. So,
So the problem with the church has been discussed.
all right. Have you noticed how much better our guys are getting?
I don't pay to. I just read what they're doing. I presume they're great, and I'm like, I just watch what they're doing, and I presume they're great, and they don't disappoint me.
It's and the thing is, they're watching this. It's because they're watching this.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's just funny. They watch this, and then they have Martin as the. It's
it
like
go-
he's like the grad student that actually grades the papers and
Yeah.
it talks to it, and we're
Well,
like doing
It's the work, man. That's the work.
and it's just, and everybody's just getting so much better, so much faster, and I think it's just coalescing, right?
That's what it looks like.
Right. So any event, so we talked about the church. What I want to get back to is, so our next project is going to be, how do we do this amount of stuff you did already. I mean, look at, you drew all on the this quadrant is that quadrant is that, etc. The stuff you talked about today. We can put lying up here. We can build lying on top of it, and all of a sudden now we've got like reciprocity at the top,
Yes.
deception at the bottom, right? And we've got everything in a nice, clean, terrifying.
It's interesting to see I said this probably a year ago, almost. The geometry is just like crystalline to me. It's like, it looks like a crystal because it's all causal relationships and they're stable.
Yep. So when I got up this morning along those lines, I was thinking, well, I don't know if I want to do this in a session, but it'll get done in a session. Like if we do it, right, it'll get done. It's like what we just did just now, right? But it'd be interesting to go through and define each axis. In other words, in other words, we need a sentence or a paragraph about every edge in the diagram, every line
On those diamond.
All right, and we need the same about every quadrant.
Okay.
And so there's some.
I was feeling that. I can work on that.
I think we want to do that, and we want to add lying. And when I'm done with that, I'm thinking about, are there markets here? The
That's
organization.
right. There's certainly there's behavioral aspects of all of it. Markets are included.
So is the market just the height of the upper triangle? In other words, association, cooperation, production, reproduction, commons, polities, strategies. In other words, is that
The market is it
because a market
is
basically is
that
the
on the
scale.
axis? It's on the ethical axis.
Correct. And if we do that, I think that's just scale, right? Because that's the energy, the markets I just described are the scale of energy captured.
Right.
Yeah, I think that gets us markets. Now, we already have elites. We've defined elites on the triangle. We defined institutions, and we defined markets. We defined trifunctionalism. I'm trying to think of something on our list we didn't put on here. We got evolutionary computation. And I'm going to go back over to this stupid fucking thing. I just did it again. Damn it.
Oh my.
What?
I'll just say oh my every time you do that. It's okay.
Where are you? There you are.
You're going to share?
I'm just going over our logic, physics and biology, sociology, politics, strategy. I guess we could.
That's interesting.
No, I guess we could do a little work on how does strategy fit on here. And then that hierarchy of diagrams is consistent. And then the symbol of every section is just an increase in the complexity of the diagram.
Right. What the diagram will do is it will scale to a very large size for finer detail to be drawn upon it, because it lends itself towards it's like a fractal in arrangement.
Yeah. And so we've basically got I did one other error. I got it one on our long list there. I should have put I need to put, where do I have that open? Oh, I have it open in this, in whiteboards. I have it open here, open and collaborate. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Why is that not there? Hello? Do I need to shrink this or something? Okay, so what I don't have here. Hello? What I don't have here is this.
What are you looking at? I don't.
Can you see the whiteboard?
I see the whiteboard, but it's a little bit too big. Let's make it smaller. I made it smaller. Now I can see it. There we go. I can control where it is on my screen.
Okay, so there's supply, demand, and ternary logic in here somewhere.
It's up on top. Yeah.
Oh, it's up here, up at the top.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see supply, demand, or ternary logic.
Right, and I think it needs.
I think there's a way to do this is there's the general organizational principles of the universe is how you open up the science portion of it, the body of the work, after you've introduced it, which is you discuss the polarized nature of reality, necessarily polarized, and then in stable equilibria, stable relations between stable equilibria as the organizational principle of the universe, the single operating system of the universe that operates at all scales. And then you can begin to define the branches of science afterwards and show that operation in motion, how it operates it throughout all scales.
I need you to, I've lost you now. Can you give me a little more?
Okay, so you said it once, something like this. We have discovered the single operating principle of the universe, which is the polarization of opposed attractive forces, attractive and distractive forces in stable relations at every scale. And so it's like this, take the introduction to the sciences is the basic bones description that applies at all scales.
So it goes down, instead of with logic, this goes down here. Can you see it?
I think that supply demand is it goes above the logic. You could describe it. It's I suppose it will be necessary to talk about logic and truth before you talk about supply and demand, right?
I just think what I want to get across is that these are just means of representing information versus sets. All right.
Versus sets, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I just want to talk about the general concept of how, because we're doing is, that, right? We're switching, we're moving up the complexity hierarchy, right? From ideal types, right? Ideal types to sets to supply demand curves, right? As a way of looking at the world. And then we're talking about supply demand curves. We're going from a graph, right, which is 2 dimensions,
Yes.
to a ternary logic.
Right.
Right. And so I want to get that point across. The problem is, how do I don't think I can do truth here. I just don't. Why? What are you laughing at me for? I just don't know how to get there. Because truth is part of the law, isn't it? What the heck is going on here?
No. Truth is part of science. Science is the law, right? So you reflect on the first. See, I see a subsection here where you're calling logic all the way to physics, right? Okay.
Can we do that?
But it's like there's a language portion of it. We're just talking about human expression, okay? Which is like human expression, right? Oh my, I don't like the decidability there. It's like that's a social function.
Well, I know, but remember, we're trying to figure out is,
how do I figure it? I guess you could see this section before physics, okay? The whole section before physics. I'm seeing this bit here as being OODA loop description. how we think about, talk about, and agree to do things together as human beings. That's what that part is. And it's like, and it's like, I just hit Control Z to get rid of that little mark I drew.
Well, you got rid of the whole thing.
I see it. I still see it. You don't see it?
Nope, I'm gonna
That's weird.
screenshot it.
Me?
Oh, no, I got it. I don't know what, scroll.
Because it took a jump. It moved, and I didn't understand why it moved.
Well, now it's gone. I can't get it.
You can't get it?
Hold on.
Oh, that's messed up. Let me see here. Apologies. Okay.
You can see it.
Yes. It says you can see it. Anyone who has access to this, everyone who has access to this.
I see absolutely nothing.
No shit. Hit whiteboard.
Well, I don't have whiteboard. It's already up.
But you see a. Okay. Let me see what it says. It says you're the owner. I can export it.
Do that.
Okay. It exported it. It says, let me look for it. I see a whiteboard. I don't know where it went though.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is,
Do you know where it went?
nope.
I export it as a whiteboard and I
Export.
don't know where to look for it.
You are, I'm gonna close the whiteboard.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Open it up
open the
again.
whiteboard. And I can't open, and I'm gonna click a whiteboard. And I can click untitled and open and collaborate. And
I
there
see
it
it
is.
again.
Okay, so we're gonna just call that a technology problem with, or a bug in the,
Yeah, it's a what? Ignorance by operator error. Sorry.
so,
Don't do that again.
so, okay, so I'm gonna just go and make a couple of changes here.
Yes.
There's no efficient. God
There's,
damn it.
there's no what?
Well, there's some weird cursor thing here.
I don't see your cursor. There we are.
God damn it. What is the problem here? Okay, can you see this now?
I see it.
All right. So we said we're going to start off talking about the law and the history. Right. We're not going to talk about what went wrong here.
Yeah, no, that goes in the beginning.
That does.
I think that's correct. It's like, and I would draw it from the perspective of Western civilization, the history, and leave it at that. So it's limited and in scope. So that what happens is you're looking at the past in Western civilization to limit the scope of the reader that is understandable, that they can wrap their head around. So it's got to be small enough that it's not too much. And then it's a teaser, what went wrong and what is going to go wrong because of it. It's a failure of humanity has to come together and form an understanding that works to the future and ensures our persistence. if we are to persist. We're in that hostile of a place. And you have to make it in gross terms, because now the liberal reader may be biased against Western civilization, but they have interest in the persistence of humanity by virtue of the fact that they happen to be one. And they also have interest in anybody who claims to have an answer for how do we do it to resolve the crisis that we're in a reasonably civil manner. And there the teaser is in that introduction part that leads to, now we have to study human expression and understanding, which is the first part, which you call logic, science, up to physics.
So that's where I'm not.
Not what?
Right. So this is,
Yes.
right? And this is,
That's right.
so the problem is, again, I don't want to start with this.
With what? I don't see what you're pointing at.
Logic, language, just in other words, I think it's easier to understand if we start with
No, you can put that. What you do is you're
oh, I see what I'm doing. This is part of the, so the problem I'm trying to get to is the science versus logic is different from the grammars and the lies.
right.
So we want to go to the
Right.
law.
So you kind of look at it like a sandwich. The logic and the science versus logic is the first piece of bread, and the lies go on the other piece of bread at the other side. And the first principles are in between.
Give me that again.
Okay. What I'm calling the piece of bread, this is the body of the work after the science of decidability section, okay? This first piece of bread is the first part of the sandwich, which holds the first principles as the meat of the subject, okay? The other piece of bread is the law, the part that goes above the remedy, the solutions, which is the lies. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And the body of the work, the first principles, is the meat. And that's just how stuff really works for everybody in between. And then the lies come later. Right, so this is the during section, okay? The sandwich.
You're ahead of me, buddy. You're ahead
Sorry,
of me.
Bros. It's like this interesting function. So it's like, I should translate that where you have will use, the tools we will use, I would say the tools we are obligated to use as humans to solve all our problems in the OODA loop. We have no choice. Yes.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Because this first section,
So you're falling into the same trap I did.
what's that?
Which is, it starts out where you have this idea and you add just one more thing, because the problem is you can't talk about anything without talking about everything else. So then you end up saying, okay, that was wrong. How do I do this over? And so I think that that we have to tell people, here's your, this is geometry. Here's your ruler, your protractor,
Right,
your compass, and your pencil. That's
Right.
what this stuff is right here.
right.
They've got to have some concept, because people don't even know that, science versus logic versus, I mean, they don't know what these terms mean.
Right.
Now, the thing is, I don't think we can talk about, can we talk about truth there? I don't know. To me, I see when we get into,
Oh,
I want to go from that building up like we've done before.
that's fine.
So, right?
Yeah, I think that you can put the truth and the lies at the bottom.
I think we go into here, truth, reciprocity, the law, the solution, right? I think that's we're the truth, the lies. Right.
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
See that, I have no idea what just happened.
I thought you did that. Looked
Yeah,
like you added a couple spaces up
Yeah,
there.
I just don't know, why are they adding up here when I'm typing down there?
No.
Like, see what I mean? There's,
I understand you. I am not qualified to answer the question, sir.
I'm not either. I have a really. That says I can't copy it. All right.
This is why I
So
get anxious using letting other people intermediate my forms of communication.
yes.
It seems like a bad policy.
Well, there's the what's happened is that the people who wrote Medium used a very, there, in other words, the number of things you need to write everything is very small. In other words, the
Okay.
number of features, right? Somebody's produced an editor for that. I don't know why anybody uses any other editor than that one. There's just no reason, because it's like one of those things that's available. And it's because I use it in my prod. So I just understand what everybody's doing. So when you get into these things, it's like, well, why is this doing this? It's because some developer thought he'd be special.
Right. Wise acre, he is.
Yeah, I think this makes sense to me now. We have to, the problem I was having is this one. We have to tell people what's going to be different. Yeah,
Right.
Right. And then we start with physics, and that's just like great, right? That works naturally up from there. So that by the time we get to truth and lies and law, which is just how we talk about it, right? So then what we've got is the people have the tools. But the big thing you convinced me of, which is to put this up front so that we've told people the plot.
That's right. There's a reason for you to read this.
Yep.
And it's in the beginning part, so that it's the teaser, it's the chum.
Okay,
Does that work for you?
that works for me, boss.
I exported that one too, since I wanted to make sure I didn't lose it.
Boy, you make me work hard.
Sorry, buddy. Not really.
Huh?
I had to say it. I'm just saying it.
So, God, I wish we could do this every day. I want to try the next time we meet, to add lies to this. The diamond,
Okay, I'm
right?
going to show you something right now.
You are.
Yes,
Does it include anything
it's,
like
it's inside my notebook here.
in red chiffon that I probably don't want
Right here.
to say?
See that? No, it's right there. See that diamond? See that little black diamond on the side?
Yeah.
That's animals. Because what it is, as you extend, the technology expands. As you go to the right, the men expand their scope of behavior by technical means. That's all I got. I'm gonna add lying in the markets to the diamond. I'm gonna focus on that diamond, and it is defining the limits, the edges of those lines, and the fields, naming fields.
If you do that, that would be huge.
That's what I'm working on, and it's like I say, the size of the diagram, it can be very large because it's like it is pretty much everything fits in there.
Yep. All right, boss. Love you,
Ready?
man. I got to go and make some lunch now because my brain is fried.
All right, it's been a pleasure again, chat, Kurt,
Thank you.
and I'll talk to you later, sir.
Like, subscribe, leave comments, tease Brad. You don't have to tease
Yep.
me.
Somebody's got to do it.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.